always like to cover anytime I'm talking about BSA is why is this so important? Why do we have these currency transaction report requirements? And why am I attending this training? Why is this all so important? And really, anytime we're talking about the Bank Secrecy Act, keep in mind we're talking predominantly about financial crime and things along those lines. There's a lot of bad actors out there. And there's anytime we're talking about the requirements for BSA, such as CTRs, I want you to keep in the back of your head that there's always an underlying crime. Little things like whether it's proceeds coming from drugs or corruption or human trafficking, fraud, or even international sanctions evasion. There's a lot of dirty money out there in the system, and there's a lot of crime that's being committed that is very profitable. And the whole point of money laundering and anti-money laundering is they're trying to get that money into the system and hide where it came from. And the CTRs that we're talking about today, that's one of the primary things that they're trying to avoid. So think of it this way. Let's say I get sick of being a presenter and I'm done with compliance and I decide that I want to get into some kind of criminal activity. Maybe I rob a bank and I'm running down the street and I have a big sack of money over my shoulder. There's a dollar bill sign on it. There's dollar bills flying everywhere. I've got all of this cash. I can't just run down to my Lamborghini dealership, plop that sack of cash onto this front desk and say, I want my car, right? You can't do that. It would look a little suspicious. They'd want to know where that money came from. And that's the whole point of this money laundering is they go through a common 3-step process where the first step is they need to place that cash into the system, okay? And, they do this by a lot of different ways. But one thing, nothing irritates a criminal more than letting the federal government know when they try to put their cash into a bank, right? And that's what these CTRs are. We are going to be sending reports to the federal government anytime we have cash coming into the bank like that. And so that first step of the money laundering process is trying to figure out how can they get the money into the system without any suspicious activity reports being filed, without any CTRs going to the federal government. So there's a lot of activity where they're trying to figure out how do I structure my deposits or structure the cash that's going in so that it doesn't trigger any of these reports that, and believe it or not, money launderers know that these reports are happening. So they're trying to avoid it. Sometimes they use smaller accounts. Sometimes they're blending funds. There's a lot of different methods to place the money into the system. After that, they go through a process that's called layering. And that's really where they go through a lot of complicated transactions, trying to hide or confuse the source of funds or where that money came from. And then finally, that last step is integration. Once the funds are in a location, in a financial institution, and they look like they came from a legitimate source or it's not clear where they came from, that way they can use their funds for something that they want to use it for. That's when I can go out and purchase that Lamborghini that I wanted. So it's that 3-step process. Now, there's a lot of complicated money laundering schemes out there, but rewinding all the way back to the why are we doing this? Why do we have these CTRs? It's about trying to track that money as it's going through the system. And so the CTRs are a big part of your program.